Hey everyone, welcome to a new park showcase video. Now, I haven't done one of these in a while, but I think it would be nice to showcase someone's park. And this episode I'll be showing you the park Antiquita, made by Otter, or Ottersalad, as he is known in some other communities. And our community is known as Otter. So yeah, I'm really a big fan of his style. He usually doesn't use any custom scenery, so that's perfect, because I also like building without it. And here you can see the entire park. It's pretty big, and it really has some nice areas. Now, I think it's best if we just first look out at the zoomed out park, and then I'll just go over it area by area and just show some of the stuff that I really like. So yeah, if we zoom out, it's a nice park with the big body of water in the middle. That generally works well for when you make a big park. And of course it also helps fill up some space in the middle. What I usually also recommend is also to put some plants underwater or some rocks. It will really help make the underwater area look more beautiful. It's the same thing I did in my mega park, and yeah, I really recommend anyone to do that. If done well, it will really also make the underwater part of your park stand out. You could, for example, even put some temples underwater or some underwater creatures. But yeah, it may not be the style you're going for, but it will generally look nice. Now, I believe this is the entrance of the park. I think this looks really nice. There's a nice building here with some frozen employees here. I believe these are some people that helped a little bit on the park. So here's Otter himself, here's Scoop, and here's Lucas. Now, I like the building here. I guess this is the place where guests can buy their tickets. Not really sure, but here's the actual entrance gate of the park, and I really like the way this looks. Also some track texture here, but it's clear that this is a big gate. And there's also a train station right above it. So it's nice to see the train go around all of the park. Actually, one thing that's pretty clear in this park is that there's actually quite a few areas where there's just grass. And normally people avoid big grassy areas, but yeah, when you use them well, they actually look really nice. So yeah, these grassy areas, they're framed by these flowers and these trees, and it actually looks really nice. What he did do, of course, as you can see here, is that before he saved it, he used the clear grass cheat just to make all the grass look nicer, rather than the unkept grass. If it was unkept, it would really look pretty bad probably, or maybe even a bit lazy. But right now, these grassy areas just look really good. Yeah, Otter is one of the few players who you can often see just put in empty grassy areas in the park. Swagtitties is another player who really likes to have some grassy areas in the park. So yeah, as you can see, they can really look nice. Now here, right next to the entrance, we have this MerryGoRound. A really nice boat here. It's quite simple design. Kind of like how I also like to make them. But yeah, it is very effective. Also, frozen entertainer in front, Blackbeard, and yeah, oh yeah, he also did something nice with the little bridge here, or the little pier in front. So he actually used the boat ride platform here. That works really well to make a little bridge that's underwater. Some other really nice buildings here. What Otter does really well is nice layering on his buildings. For example, you can see a pirate window here with one of these arches in front. So this is probably a portcullis door that's fully opened. And you can see lots of different kinds of layering here for the windows. For example, here's these brick walls with a window inside and an arch in front. That just makes a nice combination. On a lot of buildings you will see different combinations of walls being used. And here we can see a big Woodie. Well, I think it's quite a simple wooden roller coaster. So not much to say about it. Several hills, nice turnaround. Here there's several more hills. Before here it goes under the support structure and then back to the station. For Woodies I always like to use some footers. But yeah, I don't think Otter used any expansion scenery, so then footers are a little bit more finicky to do. Now, something you also often see Otter do is that he actually uses the standard queue paths. I usually avoid them because real coasters also don't have these colorful queue paths. But I actually kind of like the way this looks. It reminds me of how it used to be done in Roller Coaster Tycoon 1. And yeah, when used well, these default queues can also look nice. He always decorates them in a really nice way. Something I also am a big fan of in his parks is the way he does his trees. I don't really know how he does it. Usually lots of tropical trees, but also mixed in with these weeping willows. Lots of flowers under them and some bushes. It's quite dense, but it looks really good. It's a style I really should try to copy, because I think it looks really nice, and will definitely look great in any park that needs to have sort of a tropical feel to it. More nice buildings everywhere along the park. Also like how he put some awnings here right next to these rocks, probably to hide the tunnel entrances, which look quite ugly. I also like how the Woody actually travels here over the path and then does his turnaround here right next to the water. I think that's really cool, and it also gives some nice interaction here. I think these guests, as a guest, I would love to see the coaster pass right over here. There's also a small junior coaster here. Not really much to say about it. Nice, colorful. I do like how it's, how all these trees and plants are around it. But there's some space around it, and I think it's framed here really nicely. Several other rides here as well. This is Anaconda. This one was made by Scoop, apparently. Just a simple corkscrew coaster. I like how it goes over the path here. So when your coaster goes over a path, it's generally nice to put the coaster and the path at a right angle with respect to each other. That's usually a good way to make them interact. Also really nice how these corkscrews go over the path here with these arch supports here. Nicely done. Not really sure about the color of the coaster, but the layout looks really nice here. Also, I really like how this spiral is done above the water here. It's a nice little maze here, although it does look a little bit difficult because there's a lot of junctions here. There's probably quite a lot of guests who want to get out of the jungle maze. So yeah, when you make a maze, you should really try to limit the amount of choices the guests have. Because usually they just go in a random direction at the junction. So the more choices they have, the less likely they are to actually find the exit of the maze. That might be something to take into account, unless you don't really care about guests not finding the exit of the maze. So here we have some river rapids. Again, not really a really special layout, but it does look kind of nice here. In this jungle with these monorail walls right next to it. And he covered up the gaps behind the monorail walls nicely with all these plants here. Maybe some extra color would have been nice here. But river rapids are always kind of nice to look at. So he turned the ride into a 3D cinema. I always turn them into a lift or an elevator, because if you turn it into a lift, then the guests don't care about the intensity rating of the ride, and they will always go on it. So yeah, if you do that, you will definitely see more guests enter the ride, because whenever they set foot in the queue, you are sure that they will actually ride it. Now, here we can see another coaster. Here's looping coaster called Canary. It's nice and yellow. Again, there's a nice turnaround here right over this little what's it called, peninsula over the lake. Can also see some nice flowers here again, framing this grassy area. I like how there's actually no plants here blocking the view of these loops. I guess walking here would all have a nice and clear view of these loops over here. I think that's really nicely done. It's definitely a good way to expose these loops to the viewer and to again add some nice interaction here. Here's a little helicopter ride. I really like how we did these buildings here. Again, some nice different ways of doing these windows. This building, again, there's these opened doors here with pirate windows behind it. And here's these closed portcullis doors. I believe there's simply some kind of wooden fences behind it. But yeah, this is also a nice way to do these windows. Also here for the bottom floor, he actually just raised the ground and used this wooden texture. So yeah, a nice mix of different materials for these houses. What you can also see here is that usually a different kind of material used for the bottom floor, while a different material is used for the second floor as well. It's something you will often see on real buildings as well, that the bottom floor is different than the second floor, especially on higher buildings. So that's definitely something you should also do in your buildings if you want them to look nice. Well, it's something you could do. Okay, here we have a nice bridge for the guests, but also for the trains. What I really like is how we layered the sides of this bridge. So rather than just have one material with a simple fence, he put some different layers of fence. So in the bottom you can see these metal fences. He put these railings on top, and then these poles here on the side. That makes for a really great combination. And for the footers of the bridge, or the support things as they're called, he used this air-powered vertical coaster track. I really like this combination. This bridge looks great. I also really like these statues that he put at the entrance to the bridge. So behind here there's actually an icy texture, but he put glass in front, which looks kind of creamy, or cream color. This looks like a great rock texture right here next to the water on this wall. So I really like this Roman, Roman themed area. It looks like some nice ruins here, some really cool buildings. And here there's a suspended swinging coaster. This station, I think it looks great. It looks like it has several floors here. A really interesting roof shape. So rather than, a lot of people, when they make stations, it's just one big roof. But it usually looks nice to have some different heights in the building. This building looks absolutely amazing. So yeah, when you need inspiration for some nice Roman themed buildings, I think this station is a really good example of a building that works in a setting like this. The other buildings are also really nice. Here in the middle of the queue there's this Colosseum. I think that's a great way to do your queues. A lot of people don't really make nice queues for their coaster, but that's something Otter really likes to do. So for this queue, for example, I already showed you. It's actually quite long. It goes through these beautiful gardens with some ruins in between. And of course this Colosseum right here in the middle. Quite a spectacular queue. And because he does his queues like this, even though he uses one of the default colors, I think the queue looks really great. Now here's some more big buildings. This looks like a Roman villa of sorts. Of course, it looks really nice to have this water here, the garden. You can also see a guard here called Augustus, or maybe he's an emperor. Not really sure. But yeah, some lovely buildings here. Here it looks like he also used some hidden stalls, which he replaced with these monorail trains. That's also quite a clever trick to use. So you can simply place some stalls here, make them invisible, put these little trains on top, and then it looks like the guests are actually buying their food from these monorail trains. Now here's also a really nice aqueduct, and he also made one of those hyper coasters, like one of those Morgan hyper coasters called Wida. It travels through this beautiful landscape here, right next to this log flume drop. So yeah, quite some path interaction as well. It travels right over the path here. And then here it passes under the aqueduct. Here it has a turnaround. Kind of looks like a pretzel of sorts. And here I also like how it passes through this, how it passed through this tunnel here and right over the log flume. Has some nice interaction here. Not really sure if it's nice to have it travel over a path for such a long distance. And actually it goes right over the path here with only a very small clearance. Not really sure if that's the best choice. But in general this coaster looks really nice. What I really like is how it travels through these temples here. That must be quite an exciting part of the ride. Here are some more nice temples, and he also added a little bit of yellow here, just to give them a little bit more color. And this, I think this is a really nice setting here for the log flume. So yeah, the log flume doesn't have a lot of drops or anything, but it does travel through a nice landscape. So you can see all these temples here, the flowers it passes next to. Of course this big building as well here, which it travels behind. Because there's this 3D cinema here in this temple. And here at the end of the log flume there's this big drop. And then it goes underground for a bit. And then it returns back to the station. Now there's a huge drop here. And quite shortly after that there's this this turn. Yeah, I always advise people to put to make the straight part after the drop a little bit longer, especially for a drop that's this long. Yeah, this would probably be a little bit unsafe. We can probably see a boat go down this drop here. Yeah, it goes through this turn quite quickly. That would be quite dangerous. I saw a video once of a log flume that also went around that corner pretty fast, and it didn't really look very comfortable for the guests either. I believe this is a stand-up coaster. So the layout does look kind of stretched out, probably because of these diagonal parts. But what I do like about it is the colors, and of course also the buildings surrounding it. Nice station building here as well. I really like how they made these. Looks like these awnings using air-powered vertical coaster track right in front of the building. Here's also an interesting building right at the water, and what I like is how they use these pyramid pieces here to actually make the base of the building. That looks really interesting and quite impressive. It looks like there's also a ride inside. Oh, it's a motion simulator. So this is probably like one of those dark rides, or it's just a motion simulator actually. Here's some more of these stalls. I like how he made them in different colors. And the queue for this coaster, I couldn't see it from the other angle, but from this angle it looks quite nice. So with the coaster passing right over it. Okay, well I probably forgot some rides, but I think this is mostly what the park is all about. There's also some river rafts going around the lake here, I'm assuming they bring the guests from this side to this side. That's also pretty cool. But yeah, that was Otter's Antiquita park. You can download it yourself from any designs. I'll leave a link to it in the video description. So you can also take a look at the park for yourself. Now, if you need inspiration for any nice buildings, mostly in a Roman style or in this wooden or pirate style, I think this park is full of great examples. And this park really shows how to do your buildings in a nice way. But also, yeah, the foliage in this park, I think it's yeah, one of my favorite parks, foliage-wise. Alright, I hope you enjoyed watching this park. Go download it for yourself, and I'll see you again in the next video. See you later.